The Galactic Academy of Science and Strategy was the greatest institution in the universe. It was where the most intelligent young minds from different alien species gathered to learn, compete, and prepare for leadership. The Academy had seen brilliant students from the Celtrons, the Valkyrie, the Thalaxians, and many others. But this year, something was different. For the first time in history, humans had been invited. The decision had been controversial. Many alien scholars believed that humans were too primitive, their brains too simple to compete at a galactic level. The Academy only accepted the best and humans. They were a species that had only recently entered space travel. Compared to civilizations that had existed for millions of years, humans were nothing. The alien students made no effort to hide their opinions. In the Academy's massive central hall, young scholars from dozens of species gathered, chatting, laughing, and exchanging ideas. At the far end of the hall, a group of Valkyrie students, tall, insect-like beings with shimmering exoskeletons, were snickering as they watched a small group of human children sitting at their table. "Look at them," one of the Valkyrie, Zektil, whispered to his friends. "So soft, so weak." Another student, a Celtron, whose species resembled tall, blue-skinned reptiles, smirked. "And they expect to keep up with us. They don't even have neural link implants. How do they even process information so slowly?" The other aliens chuckled. To them, humans were a joke. At the center of the laughter sat Ethan Carter, a 12-year-old human boy. He heard every word. His hands clenched under the table, but he didn't react. He knew how these aliens thought. They believed in physical strength, in genetic superiority, in technology-enhanced intelligence. They didn't believe in creativity. Ethan glanced at his friends, Ava and Rowan, who were also pretending not to hear the insults. Ava, a girl with short black hair and sharp eyes, whispered, "Let them laugh." Rowan, a tall boy with glasses, adjusted his Academy-issued uniform and muttered, "They have no idea what's coming." At the front of the hall, a floating hologram flickered to life. The Academy's head instructor, Professor Varkal, appeared. His massive, tentacle-like eyes scanned the students as he spoke. "Welcome, young scholars. This year, you will be tested in the greatest fields of science and strategy. You will compete in logic, problem-solving, warfare simulation, and engineering. Only the best will rise to the top." The students straightened, excited. These competitions were legendary, a way to prove intelligence, to gain respect. Then Professor Varakal smiled, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. "To make this year even more interesting, we have included humans in our academy." The hall erupted with laughter. The Valkyrie students clicked their mandibles mockingly. The Celtrons hissed in amusement. Even the usually silent Thalaxians, a species of giant, rock-like beings, let out deep, rumbling chuckles. Ethan sat still, his jaw tightening. Professor Varakal raised a tentacle, and the laughter died down. "I look forward to seeing if our newest students can keep up," he said with amusement. "The first competition begins tomorrow. Let us see if humans are truly worthy of being here, or if they will simply embarrass themselves." Ethan met Ava and Rowan's eyes. No words were needed. They would prove every single alien wrong. The next day, the Galactic Academy's largest hall was packed. Thousands of students from different alien species gathered in their designated seats, eager to witness the first competition. A massive holographic display hovered above the arena, showing the names of all participants. Ethan, Ava, and Rowan sat quietly at their assigned human table. Around them, aliens sneered and whispered. The Valkyrie group, led by Zektil, was especially loud. "I bet the humans won't last 10 minutes before they give up," Zektil said, clicking his mandibles. His friends chuckled. Above them, Professor Varakal appeared on the main hologram. His large, tentacled eyes moved across the crowd as he spoke. "Welcome to the first challenge of the Academy. Today, we test your ability to solve problems in impossible situations." The students straightened, eager to hear the details. Professor Varkel continued. This is a survival simulation. Each team will be placed on a hostile, unknown planet. Your goal: find a way to escape using only the materials available to you. Excited murmurs spread across the hall. This was a classic challenge, designed to test intelligence, creativity, and adaptability. Most students had been training for this their entire lives. The test begins now. Before Ethan could react, a blinding light surrounded him. His stomach dropped as gravity shifted. The next thing he knew, he was falling. Then, crash. Ethan hit the ground hard. A dull pain spread through his body, but he quickly pushed himself up. He was in a dark, rocky landscape with jagged cliffs and swirling green mist. The sky was a deep shade of purple, and a strange moon loomed above. He turned and saw Ava and Rowan a few feet away, groaning as they got up. "You guys okay?" Ethan asked. Ava nodded. "Where the hell are we?" Rowan adjusted his glasses, scanning the horizon. Definitely an artificial simulation. But look. Ethan followed Rowan's gaze and felt a chill. They weren't alone. Scattered across the landscape were other teams: Valkyrie, Zeltron, Phylaxians, all looking around, trying to assess the situation. Then a loud boom shook the ground. Above them, the holographic screen appeared in the sky. Professor Varkel's voice echoed through the air. "Welcome to Trial Planet Sigma. This world is filled with deadly storms, collapsing terrain, and hidden dangers. Your mission: escape before time runs out. The last team to remain will be disqualified. Good luck." The screen vanished. Suddenly, the sky darkened, and acid rain began to fall. Ethan's heart pounded. The test had begun. And if they failed, they wouldn't just lose. They'd be humiliated in front of the entire galaxy. Acid rain poured from the sky, sizzling as it touched the rocky ground. Ethan yanked his jacket over his head as he and his friends sprinted for cover. Around them, alien students scattered, some activating energy shields, others using their natural armor to resist the rain. "We need shelter," Ava shouted, dodging a falling rock. Rowan pointed to a dark cave nestled between two jagged cliffs. "There. Move." The three of them dashed inside just as a massive thunderclap shook the ground. The rain outside turned into a deadly storm, melting rocks and sending toxic steam into the air. For a moment, all Ethan could hear was his own racing heartbeat. "That was close," he panted, wiping sweat from his forehead. Ova peered out of the cave. Some teams weren't fast enough. Ethan followed her gaze and saw Valkyrie students struggling outside. One of them had miscalculated their shield's power, and now their exoskeleton was smoking from the acid. Zektil, the Valkyrie leader, screamed in pain as his team pulled him to safety. "We should help," Rowan said. Ava shook her head. "No, they laughed at us. Let them handle their own mess." Ethan hesitated. He hated seeing anyone suffer, even if they were jerks. But she was right. This was a competition, and helping enemies meant risking their own survival. Rowan took a deep breath. "Okay, so what's the plan?" Ethan sat down and ran his fingers through the damp cave dirt. He needed to think. The test wasn't just about survival, it was about escaping. "How do we get out of here?" he muttered. Ava tapped her wrist computer. No signals. No maps. Rohan adjusted his glasses. "Then we have to do this the old-fashioned way. We study the environment and find a way out." Ethan's eyes narrowed. The terrain was dangerous, but everything in a simulation had a pattern. He picked up a small metallic rock from the ground. It was oddly warm. His mind started working. "The ground here is giving off heat," he murmured. "That means there's geothermal activity nearby. If we follow the heat, it could lead us to an energy source or an exit." Ava's eyes widened. "Like a volcano vent." "Exactly," Ethan said. "And if there's an energy source, we can build something to get us out of here." Rowan grinned. "Now you're thinking like a scientist." They exchanged determined looks. The aliens thought humans were weak. They were about to prove them very, very wrong. Ethan gripped the warm metallic rock in his hand. The heat beneath the surface meant something powerful was nearby, something they could use to escape. "We need to move," he said, standing up. Ava glanced at the raging acid storm outside. "How? We'll melt before we get 10 steps out there." Rowan tapped his wrist device. "If we can't go out there unprotected, then we make protection." Ethan's mind worked fast. They had materials inside the cave, sharp rocks, bits of metal, and strange rubbery vines growing along the walls. He grabbed a handful of the vines and pressed them together. To his surprise, they stuck together like a strong, flexible sheet. Ava raised an eyebrow. "Some kind of organic adhesive." Rowan grinned. "We can use this to make rainproof coverings." The three of them worked fast, weaving makeshift cloaks out of the vines. It wasn't perfect, but it would keep the worst of the acid away. "Ready?" Ethan asked. Ava and Rohan nodded. They charged out into the storm, covering themselves as they ran. The wind howled, the acid hissed, but their cloaks held. Ethan focused on the ground beneath him. The heat was strongest toward the eastern cliffs. That's where they had to go. Other teams were also moving. The Valkyrie had activated energy domes, shielding themselves as they walked. The Xeltrons were using their thick scales to push through the storm. The Phylaxians, massive and slow, didn't seem affected at all. But something was wrong. Ethan noticed the Valkyrie team struggling. Their shields were weakening fast. Zektil, their arrogant leader, was limping, his exoskeleton damaged from the earlier acid burn. "We should go around them," Ava muttered. Ethan hesitated. If they fell, that was one less competitor. But then he saw Zektil collapse. The other Valkyrie tried to lift him, but the storm was too strong. Ethan clenched his fists. They had mocked humans, called them weak, stupid. But right now, they were the ones who couldn't keep up. "We're helping them," Ethan said, already running toward the fallen alien. Ava groaned. "Unbelievable." Rowan sighed. "Fine. Let's go." The three humans reached the Valkyrie team. Without a word, Ethan and Rohan lifted Zektil, while Ava reinforced their failing shields with the sticky vines. Zektil's eyes flickered open. He looked at Ethan in confusion. "Why?" "Help," he rasped. Ethan smirked. "Because we can." With their combined strength, they moved forward, following the heat. The storm was getting worse, and the ground was starting to crack. Then, suddenly, the ground beneath them collapsed. Ethan had just enough time to shout before they all fell into darkness. Ethan's stomach lurched as he fell. Wind rushed past his ears, and for a terrifying second, he thought they would all crash into solid rock. Then, splash! Icy water engulfed him. The shock of it sent panic through his chest. He kicked hard, breaking the surface, gasping for breath. "Ava! Rohan!" he yelled. "I'm here." Ava coughed, swimming toward a jagged rock. "Same." Rowan gasped, grabbing onto the edge. A weak voice groaned beside them. "Zektil." The Valkyrie was struggling, his arms barely keeping him above water. Without hesitation, Ethan grabbed Zektil and dragged him toward the rock. The alien was heavy, his exoskeleton slick with water, but Ethan refused to let go. Finally, they'd reached a shallow ledge and pulled themselves out. Ethan collapsed, breathing hard. The air was humid and smelled like rusted metal. Ava flicked on her wrist light, casting a glow across the cavern. "Oh, wow," she whispered. Ethan followed her gaze and felt his heart stop. They were inside an ancient underground chamber. The walls were covered in glowing symbols, unlike anything they had seen before. Gigantic metal structures rose from the ground, their surfaces covered in thick vines and dust. Some looked like machines, long forgotten and dead. "This isn't part of the simulation," Rowan muttered, adjusting his glasses. "This place is real." Zektil groaned. pushing himself up. He blinked at the sight before him and clicked his mandibles in confusion. What is this place? Ethan stood up, his heart pounding. I don't know, but I think we just found something the Academy wasn't expecting. Ava pointed toward a massive doorway at the far end of the chamber. The symbols above it pulsed with a faint blue light. Guys, she whispered, I think this place is waking up. Suddenly, the ground rumbled. A deep mechanical hum filled the air. The ancient machines flickered, their screens coming to life for the first time in centuries. Rowan swallowed hard. I have a feeling we weren't supposed to find this. Ethan clenched his fists. The test was no longer just about survival. Now, they had discovered something dangerous, and they weren't alone. The deep hum grew louder, vibrating through the ancient chamber. Dust shook loose from the walls as the massive doorway ahead began to open. The blue symbols above it pulsed like a heartbeat, growing brighter with each passing second. Ethan instinctively stepped back. Ava gripped his arm. This is bad, she whispered. Rohan's eyes were wide with scientific excitement. No, this is incredible. These machines have been asleep for who knows how long, and we just woke them up. Zektil let out a weak hiss. Fools. You don't wake something this old unless you're ready to face its power. The doorway slid open, revealing a dark corridor lined with towering metallic figures. Then, one of them moved. A tall skeletal machine stepped forward, its glowing eyes flickering to life. Its body was covered in ancient battle scars, its joints clicking as it straightened. Others followed, their heavy steps echoing through the chamber. Ethan's mouth went dry. Okay, that's definitely bad. The first machine tilted its head, scanning them. Then, in a deep, crackling voice, it spoke. Designation, humans. Detected. Mission, resuming. The blue lights in the chamber flashed red. More machines activated, their limbs whirring as ancient energy surged through them. Rohan's excitement vanished. That doesn't sound friendly. Ava grabbed Ethan's wrist. We need to leave. Now. But before they could move, the machines raised their arms, and strange weapons unfolded from their wrists. Ethan's heart pounded. These weren't just old ruins. This was an ancient war bunker. And the machines inside. They were designed to kill. The first machine's eyes flashed red. Enemies detected. Engaging. With a loud wire, the machines opened fire. Ethan shoved Ava down as a blast of energy shot over their heads. Rowan barely dodged another. Zektil scrambled back, his injuries slowing him down. We need cover, Ethan yelled, dragging Ava behind a fallen metal pillar. Rowan dived behind another structure. We woke up a whole army. Zektil, breathing heavily, pointed toward the far side of the chamber, where another tunnel led deeper underground. That way. Move. Blasts of energy ripped through the air as they ran. Sparks flew, and ancient metal shattered around them. The machines marched forward, relentless, weapons charging for another round. Ethan gritted his teeth. They had stumbled onto something massive, and now it was trying to wipe them out. If they didn't find a way to turn these machines off, the whole galaxy might be in danger. Ethan sprinted through the dark tunnel, his lungs burning. Behind him, the ancient machines marched forward, their weapons charging again. Every few seconds, a red energy blast sizzled through the air, barely missing them. Faster, Ava shouted. Rowan stumbled but kept moving. Zektil, still weak, leaned against the wall for support. They don't stop, Rowan gasped. They're programmed to kill anything in their way. Ethan's mind raced. These weren't just old security bots. They were war machines from an age long forgotten. And now they were awake, seeing every living thing as an enemy. But why did they recognize humans? Before he could think further, the tunnel opened into a vast underground hall. The ceiling arched high above them, filled with glowing panels and suspended machinery. In the center stood a massive control terminal, covered in symbols similar to the ones outside. Unlike the rest of the ruins, this machine was still active, its screens flickering with old, garbled data. "This is it," Ava breathed. "The control center." Zechtil stumbled forward, his mandibles clicking in disbelief. "This is human technology." Ethan's stomach dropped. "What?" Rohan wiped dust off one of the glowing panels, revealing a faded human insignia, a symbol of Earth's lost past. "This whole facility, this army," Rohan swallowed. "It belonged to humans." Ava's eyes widened. "But Earth never had space wars. At least, not that we know of." Zechtil shook his head. "Your kind is older than you realize. The galaxy has forgotten many things." Ethan turned toward the terminal. "If we built these machines, then maybe we can shut them down." He stepped forward and placed his hand on the console. The screen flashed, scanning his DNA. Then, a voice, deep and mechanical, filled the chamber. "Human command recognized. Awaiting orders." The machines froze mid-step. The red lights in their eyes dimmed. Ava, Rohan, and Zechtil stared in shock. Ethan's fingers trembled over the controls. He had full control of an ancient human war machine. Outside, the galaxy thought humans were weak. But now, Ethan was holding the power of a forgotten human empire. And the universe had no idea what was coming. Ethan's hands trembled as he hovered over the glowing console. The machines had stopped moving, waiting for his command. The deep, mechanical voice repeated, "Awaiting orders." Ava swallowed hard. "Ethan, you control them." Rohan's voice shook with excitement. This means humans were never just explorers. They were warriors. They built this." Zechtil clicked his mandibles nervously. "No wonder the galaxy fears humans. If they knew you had this power." A sudden rumble shook the chamber. On the console screen, new data flashed. Enemy signals approaching from orbit. Ethan's breath caught. "It's the Telleri fleet," he whispered. "The same alien empire that had mocked humans. The same species that saw them as weak, pathetic creatures. Now, they were coming to finish the job." Ava stepped forward. "Ethan, we can't let them find this place. If they take control of this army." "They won't," Ethan said firmly. His fingers tightened over the controls. The war machines stirred. Their eyes flashed blue instead of red. Weapons hummed to life. The ancient halls trembled as hundreds of war drones awakened. Ethan's voice was calm, but his heart pounded. "All units, defend." The machines obeyed instantly. They marched toward the tunnels, their weapons primed. Outside, the Telleri fleet descended, their ships breaking through the sky. They had no idea they were flying straight into a human war zone. Ava, Rohan, and Zechtil stood in awe. "This," Rohan whispered, "this is history coming back to life." Ethan turned from the console, his eyes sharp. "No, this is just the beginning." Outside, the first Telleri ships entered the atmosphere. The machines raised their cannons. The ancient war had begun again. And this time, humanity was ready.